Welcome to the Agile Marketing Edge, the first podcast dedicated to turning Agile theory into real-world marketing breakthroughs. I'm Andrea Fryrear, CEO of AgileSherpas, and your guide on this climb to smarter, faster, outcome-driven marketing. Every week, we unpack the what, who, and how behind Agile marketing, from building high-velocity workflows and slashing waste to measuring what really matters and scaling success across teams. You'll hear quick-hit strategies you can deploy today, plus candid stories from marketers who've traded chaos for clarity and never looked back. And because no Sherpa summits alone, I'll be joined by trailblazing guests, coaches, practitioners, CMOs, and other experts, sharing the sharp tactics and hard-won lessons that keep them on the leading edge. So lace up those virtual hiking boots, limit your whip, and let's start ascending. This is your weekly shot of practical, no-fluff, agile insight, so you can deliver more value with less busy work and love your marketing again. Hit follow wherever you listen, and let's carve the next switchback together. In many ways, this is a weird time to start a podcast about agile marketing because, one, we're over a decade into the movement. Two, there's a lot of skepticism going around about agile as even a relevant concept right now. And three, marketers are facing a huge number of challenges, not the least of which are AI disruptions to our entire field and major budget cuts. Of course, there's no relation between those two at all. But actually, those are three reasons why now is the perfect time to start this podcast. Agile is better known than it once was, so we can spend more time unpacking its applications and enjoying its benefits and less time explaining what it means. There's an opportunity, though, to redefine and reclaim our own definition of agile marketing, so we get something hyper relevant to us. Agility, like real agility, is the solution to practically all the biggest challenges that marketers are facing today. And I'll add a fourth reason as well, and this one is personal. Agile marketing changed my life when I discovered it over a decade ago, and I am totally and completely over people claiming to know what it is and how to do it when they don't. They are ruining it for everybody, and I'm not going to take it anymore. I think of these people as agile marketing imposters because they're missing one half of the agile marketing Venn diagram. Either agilist half or marketer half. They only have one. Sometimes they don't have either if they're just a consultant who never had either of those jobs. And I refuse to allow them to be the ones telling marketers what agile should be like for them. It's too valuable and it's too important. So that's why I'm here right now. So let's move on to why agile marketing needs to be here and everywhere right now. So first, let's talk about what it's like to just be in marketing right now. So AgileSherpas surveyed hundreds of marketers earlier this year, and we heard 5 big challenges. The first is budget constraints and the ever popular do more with less. And this was the most cited pain by far. Marketers are feeling squeezed, overextended, and just under-resourced. This feeling of needing to do more with less was mentioned over and over, and it was often connected to themes of burnout, prioritization, and limited capacity. And the second theme was AI, hype, fear, hope, confusion, all around this topic. Huge continuing signals around AI. Some people are excited, a lot of them feel overwhelmed, some are afraid. And really most of our respondents just at this point didn't know how to implement AI effectively. We were collecting these responses in January of 2025, and a lot's changed even since then. But that early in the year, that feeling of not knowing what to do or how to do it was very prevalent. We also saw a lot of comments about AI needing more structure and needing to balance it with human creativity and a really strong drive to integrate it into existing processes. Third theme that we heard was a whole bunch of C's: chaos, complexity, and constant change. So words that came up in this category a lot were poor prioritization, right? Everything's on fire. Everything is a top priority. And so it's difficult to know where to really put one's focus. And this is strongly related, of course, to poor alignment. We're not sure how to add value to the business. We're not sure what our internal stakeholders are really placing value on. So again, we can't prioritize effectively. This can cause us to get into this mode of reactivity and fire drills, where we are just responding to whatever is most on fire or whoever's shouting at us the loudest. And that makes a lot of sense when we have constantly shifting targets. Things change too often for us to really plan and prioritize effectively. Other things that came up a lot in this category were poor communication. So not really being able to connect and collaborate effectively. Unclear goals, so not really knowing where we're going, so it's hard to map out how to get there if we don't know the destination. And leadership changes. So very big issue in marketing historically is that leadership turnover and the impact that it has on our ability to execute. We saw comments like we need to act, not react, and we need a process that will support that. And other things like we need alignment with organizational goals, which are really big signals for just deep pain around how marketers are trying to get things done and really just honestly struggling. Fourth theme that we heard was around organizational bottlenecks and silos. So here's where we started to hear about internal challenges like politicking, a lot of misalignment with other departments. So the inability to connect with folks like sales or IT or product effectively. Here we heard a lot of speed to market problems, right? A go-to-market motion that just isn't working. And a lot of marketers are feeling really powerless and without the authority to say no or push back on work requests or demands that don't feel valuable or that they know are not going to move the needle, but are getting pushed onto them. So that's creating this feeling of bottlenecked work and siloed activity. The fifth and final theme that we heard from our data in 2025 was about people and about the teams that we are on. So a lot of talk about talent gaps, burnout, and the need to make do with smaller teams than we've historically had. And so here we hear a lot about limited bandwidth, right? A team that's been reduced in size and fewer resources from a budgetary standpoint, as well as teams just not being set up the right way from a structural perspective. So we haven't brought together the right team to get the new kind of work done that we're being asked to do. And many of our respondents felt unsupported internally and overwhelmed by the expectations of just what marketing is supposed to be able to do. We heard a lot of comments about trying to do everything or being expected to do everything and not being able to achieve any degree of scale without burning out. And honestly, none of this is really shocking or surprising to me, especially. I've been in marketing my entire career, and so none of these words are brand new. None of these phrases are brand new. What's really surprising is the degree. Everything feels like it got ratcheted way up this year. But if you've worked on an Agile team before and you're hearing all of these pain points, you, like me, are probably thinking, oh yeah, Agile helps with all of that. Every one of those pain points, Agile is useful in solving. And you're right, it does, which is why I'm here and hopefully why you're here too. But why keep harping on Agile marketing as a specific pairing of words? Why not come up with some clever new phrase to encapsulate the processes that marketers need to manage all of this craziness? It's a very good question, and I want to go into it in more detail because I think the backstory is important. And one of the triggers that really made me want to double down on the concept and the term agile marketing was unpacking all of this data that I was just describing to you. We have quantitative as well as qualitative data, and I put it all into ChatGPT, where I've built a CEO clone, who I affectionately call Denise, and she helps me not go crazy while running a business. So what Denise told me is that the data I shared with her proves that the category of agile marketing is still needed. But she pointed out that in the data, the intention to go agile was there, but what was missing was clarity. A lot of marketers are interested, they're drawn to this idea, but only a little tiny percentage of them are confident in what agile marketing really is, much less how to actually implement it in a way that solves their problems and aligns with the realities of how they get work done. So this clarity and education are missing, even though there's still a high degree of interest. Perfect. There are a lot of ways to provide both clarity and education, and this podcast is the main one that I'm focusing on. But Denise wasn't done. She reminded me that we have to speak more to pain and less to the process. It's important here and everywhere to make marketers understand what it feels like to work this way. So less sprints good, do sprints now. More, you're burned out. Your budget has been cut and it feels like AI is coming for your job. Here is how you fight back with agile marketing that actually works. That is the goal of agile marketing, the real kind that we're talking about in this podcast. Building a powerful set of processes that spans what you do, how you do it, and who you do it for. And not for the sake of saying that you're agile, but with the goal of achieving more flow and less friction, more clarity and less chaos, more focus, fewer fire drills. In the end, we want better results, not just faster tasks. If you're familiar with agile marketing or any of my work over the years, or really just agile frameworks in general, you might notice that this is a broadening of the concept of agile marketing, and that is intentional. Because this is not just about practices or frameworks anymore. Agile marketing in 2025 requires us to consider our ways of working end to end. Agile marketing cannot simply be agile, but for marketers. It's a system-level redesign of how marketing creates and delivers value. And this whole system is what we're going to be exploring in this podcast. Because that whole system, all of it, all the pieces, is what modern marketing needs to succeed. To give you a little bit more detail and hopefully entice you to subscribe to all of the fabulous episodes that we have coming up, I want to explore each of those pieces a little bit more deeply. So the what part of this system includes things like, how do we choose the work to be done? Prioritization activities, planning, strategy, goal setting, and then what gets measured? Who's measuring it? And how often? Where is that data getting shared and documented? Can we trust the data? And do we have the tools that we need to get it? This then intersects with the who part of our Venn diagram when we start to ask ourselves, who are our customers really? And not just end consumers of the products that we're marketing, but our internal customers as well. Because marketers get pulled in both of these directions. We have internal stakeholder customers as well as the people who pay our companies money for the stuff that we make. So how do we balance demands of both of these audiences without going crazy? More topics in the who category include things like modern marketing leadership, which needs to get beyond just giving orders and micromanaging. The ways that we incorporate our new AI team members. How do we do that and collaborate with these powerful colleagues effectively? Empowering and expanding people's capabilities with AI tools and technology. This is what AI is for, to augment and extend what we can do, not replace marketers altogether. And then we get into the overlap between who and how as we talk about modern marketing teams. Who's on them? How long do they stay together? What percentage are actually real humans? And then more of the how topics cover, among many other things, day-to-day work management practices, like stand-ups, visual work management, and the mindset that we use to test, learn, and iterate in a world that is constantly changing. The how part also covers the kind of culture that we need to cultivate in marketing and in our organizations in order to compete in the always-on, omni-channel, ever-evolving market that we are all being demanded to compete in now. So as you can see, there is a lot that we are going to cover in this podcast. And we got a lot to do because it's all mission critical for marketers right now. I'm going to be taking on a lot of these topics myself, dusting off my trainer hat and digging in and teaching you everything I know about all of these things. But I'm also going to be bringing on special guests when the topics call for it, because I certainly don't know everything about everything. I hope that you will be here with me as I redefine and reclaim Agile for marketers, because we really need it right now. If you want to read more about this next phase of Agile marketing and how my team at AgileSherpas is supporting it with innovative training and coaching products powered by AI, of course, then I'll share some links in the show notes. And you can also check out theropes.agileSherpas.com for both free and paid courses that cover a whole slew of Agile marketing topics across the who, the what, and the how. Thank you so much for being here, and until next time, remember, the struggle is real, but so is Agile marketing.